Hello and welcome to The Habit Architect. My name is Michael Cups. It's good to see everyone again. I'm really excited about today's episode, and I want you to stay tuned through the end because we have a great guest on here to talk about what we eat, how we work, how that intertwines with our energy levels, and what that means to you from an outcome perspective and and your productivity perspective. And there's a lot of things going on with food out there in not only in the U.S. market but everywhere. So we've got a nutritionist on, and she's going to tell us what's really happening. From my perspective, I've kind of lived through working on, burning on both ends of the candle, as they say, working really hard and having poor dietary habits. I used to drink alcohol, and then when I drank alcohol, that meant you had a cheeseburger or whatever that might be. And what I really began to learn is that what you eat is directly impacting your energy level that you show up with. And I've cut out alcohol, and we'll talk about other things in just a moment. So let's welcome on Marissa. Hello, Marissa. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
So
Thanks for
for
having
everybody, yeah, absolutely. So just for everybody on the guest, Marissa is a registered dietitian with Food Smart. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself even further because there's probably more about you that I don't know.
Sure, yeah. Hi everybody. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Michael, for having me on. Yeah, my name is Marissa Dankosky. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been a registered dietitian for 4 years now. I started in the nursing home setting. I was
Oh,
there for about 2 years, and I provided medical nutrition therapy to those in the nursing home, both long term, short term, and there was an assisted living facility there as well.
yeah.
And then I moved to a doctor's office after that, and for the most part, I worked in their weight loss center, helping their patients with weight management.
Yeah.
And then I also did provide nutrition counseling to the patients there at the doctor's office based off maybe their blood work. If their blood sugars were high, we talked about how to manage those. If their cholesterol was high, talked about how to manage that, blood pressure high, things like that.
Yeah.
And then now I'm doing virtual nutrition counseling through FoodSmart. And I mostly work with the Medicaid population, with those patients who are on Medicaid insurance all across America, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
That's fantastic. And thank you for covering some of that too, because when a lot of people think of food and changing their diet, they think of it as losing weight. But there's also necessary measures that we need to take, not because we're trying to lose weight. Some of us may be, but not because of that, but because of other healthy reasons. So hopefully we can weave that in as we discuss. And there's also, you said something that I'm curious about. Maybe we can start there. As we age, because you said you started in nursing home, and as we age, how drastically different does our diet need to change with us?
Yeah,
I know that's a big question, but
yeah. What I would say is it really doesn't have to change that drastically. I mean, it does depend where we started, I guess, or what our current diet is. It would pretty much be the same as a general healthful diet with a couple of changes. So fruits, vegetables, lean protein, whole grains. If you can tolerate dairy products, like you don't have lactose intolerance, then low fat dairy products to get your calcium and protein. One big thing as we age is muscle loss. As we age, we naturally lose muscle. It's called sarcopenia. So in that case, we do need a little bit more protein as we get older. So that would be one thing I would focus on as we get older is definitely protein intake.
okay. Well, thank you for that. I'm curious because I am aging. I think everybody is, but I am aging. So let's talk about what I eat. And I really don't want to do this. And I will say that my diet today is better than it was 10 years ago, or probably even 5 years ago. But so I'll just kind of give you. And what I find when I'm at home, I eat better than when I'm traveling. I do travel a lot, so it becomes a challenge, if you will. And so this week I was in Louisville, Kentucky. I was thinking about the meals I had. I had a Caesar salad with some chicken. I did have a club sandwich one day with fries. For breakfast, though, what I did is I had a grocery store deliver protein shakes and these. And it seems healthy because, it says it's got a lot of protein and stuff like that. But I don't really know if it does. It says 1 sugar and 5 sugar alcohol. So is that good or bad? And it's interesting, and we can talk about it next. But so that was my kind of trip. I drink water and I drink unsweet iced tea. So I quit alcohol. I don't really like juice that much. So pretty bland on what I drink, and then but that was kind of my diet this week is kind of hurt it. And I don't know if this is good or bad, but I've tried to go to one large meal a day and then not eat another big meal. So, and I kind of accomplished that this week. So is that
Okay.
bad or good? What do you see? What do you think?
Yeah. So right off the bat, I do recommend the classic breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 meals
Mm,
a day, eating every 3 to 4 hours. The reason for that is I do want everybody to have consistent intake throughout the day so we don't have any crashes, I would say. If we're not eating a lot, then our energy levels will get low, we may crash, and then also we're super hungry that we may end up overeating or larger portions than
uh,
if we ate consistently throughout the day. It can also help with blood sugar management if we're eating consistently throughout the day. So that's another reason as well. So I do recommend 3 meals
okay.
a day. But how some people too, they may not be able to do 3 meals a day, so maybe 5 to 6 smaller meals, snacks is also okay. Um, just to make sure we're getting enough calories, protein, everything we need to sustain ourselves.
Yeah. So what I heard, if I could play it back, what I think is, so if I just eat that one meal a day and then kind of have a few snacks here and there, what happens is the fuel in my body gets low or off balance, and and it's better just to keep it at the right levels. Is that a layman's way of saying that?
Yeah, I would try to we wanna keep our energy levels nice and steady throughout the day. We don't wanna have any crashes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not going to tell you what my diet was before,
Okay.
because then you would throw something at me through the screen. So we won't do
No,
that.
I would never. No, no,
so
no.
let, so let's talk about that. I mentioned a few things on this protein bar that have. I mean, if you go through a grocery store, it seems like the stuff that's really affordable is bad for you, and the stuff that you really need to health wise seems expensive. Now I'm talking about packaged goods. I know fruits and vegetables and stuff like that are different, but I mean, does it seem like healthy eating has gone up in cost, or what are you thinking from a nutrition?
Yeah, I think the price of groceries has definitely gone up. I mean, for example, the price of eggs, it went up to max. I don't know what the most you heard was. I think the most I heard was 12.99 for a dozen of eggs at one point, which is wild. So I do think the price of groceries has definitely gone up. However, I would say we can work with whatever our budget is to continue to eat healthy. And we can make nutritious meals for ourselves, not only ourselves, but our family as well, because a lot of
Yeah.
people out there have families we need to be concerned about. Um, so we can work with the budget. And I know you just mentioned fruits, more processed foods.
Yeah.
Fruits and vegetables are going to be a big part of a healthy diet. So I want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Um, More affordable fruits and vegetables, maybe frozen or canned, and they are just as nutritious as fresh. So those are some options to look at. I do recommend to always be stocked up with some kind of frozen fruit or vegetables. You could add it onto a meal real quick, add some nutrients in there. Um, Also, maybe stocking up with canned goods too. You can do canned fruit or veggies as well, even canned proteins like chicken,
Mm.
fish, um, tuna, sardines if you're into sardines.
Yeah.
They're very, very healthy. They have a lot of omega-3s, vitamin D, calcium. So if you like sardines, definitely consume them. But I know it's not the most popular.
Right, right. Well, you mentioned families. So the easy thing to do is grab, what they advertise of snack packs and things like that, and throw that in the bag for your kid and send them off to school. Are there realistic, healthy choices that they can make instead of this the pure processed chips and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of processed snacks out there that are not the most nutrient dense, but there are also options that do provide good nutrition. Um, just to name a couple examples, there is what's the name? Don't remember the name. It's a snack pack and it has like grapes and cheese and crackers in it. That's one that you can grab off the shelf and throw it in a lunchbox. Sun chips are actually made out of whole grains, those sun chips. So that could be a nice crunch or a healthy alternative chip. Even tortilla chips too. Tostitos has those wheat chips. Those could be a little bit of a healthier option. Maybe pack them salsa within their lunch. They dip it in salsa or hummus or guacamole if they like that. So there are options.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I guess you want your kid not to feel left out either. Like, chips are chips. But yeah, I think it's a challenging thing. I mean, I frankly get overwhelmed when I go in the grocery store. And I listened to a podcast a few weeks ago, and it was a nutritionist or something. And he was talking about the labels on packaged goods now. They don't get it. They can put healthy choice on there, even though what's in the bag may not be healthy, right? But they don't have any restrictions on really some of that. I mean, certainly on the ingredients, they have to be honest, but on the front, they could say it's for good sports or it's healthy living or whatever.
Yeah, there may be labels that are a little bit misleading.
Yeah.
So for that, I would encourage to turn the package over and read the nutrition label. For packaged foods, one of my biggest concerns I would say is definitely salt. Usually, processed packaged foods have a lot of salt in there, either as a preservative, a way to preserve it so it lasts longer on
Right.
the shelves or in your pantry, and or just to make it taste better. So I would look at the salt. Anything that is 140 milligrams or less per serving would be considered low sodium.
Okay. Low
Mhm.
sodium. That's a good question. So, what are we looking for? Because I read this to you, and it had sugar alcohols. Are those good or bad, or what's the? Because I don't even know what a sugar alcohol is. I know what sugar is, but I don't know what sugar alcohol is.
Yeah. It's a type of artificial sweetener. So it's not going to impact our blood sugar like regular white cane sugar would. Um, it's going to impact our blood sugar by half, if that makes sense. So if
Oh,
how many sugar alcohols are in that?
5.
5. Okay. So half of that would actually impact our bloodstream. So a
Okay.
little bit of those sugar alcohols impact our bloodstream, but not all of it. So that's why it may be a better option than something that has 5 grams of added sugar. Um, so sugar
Got it.
alcohols are okay. It has been studied a little bit. There are some studies out there on sugar alcohols. There's more studies done on other non-nutritive sweeteners such as Splenda, Equal, aspartame.
Yeah.
Those are some of the popular ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good. And this was sodium is the salt, right? So when you say look for salt, it's sodium, and this is
Yes.
105. I don't know if that's good or bad for such a small portion, but it is
Yeah.
what it is. So yeah, I think reading labels is something that we really ought to teach our children sooner, because I didn't read a label until I was well into my high 20s, I think, and maybe because you also feel invincible at that age too. So you go through life kind of oblivious to some of those things. But let's talk about the food industry in general. You and I were talking earlier before we turned on, and Florencia, our producer, had mentioned the cottage core fantasy thing. But I think it's a broader feeling that there's influencers in social media that say it's easy to make your own sourdough bread, or you should make everything fresh, and you should never eat processed. And I think that's great, but it feels a little bit like a trap, because I do know one thing about habit formation, because that's what I teach. But if it becomes too difficult, you drop the habit pretty quick. And so it just feels like, to me, that's almost a trap, because they're sitting in front of a camera, so they might have a crew, whatever. What do you think of this?
Yeah, you mentioned a good point. If it's not something we can sustain, we're not going to continue doing it. It's going to drop off. So, yeah, would it be extremely healthy and advantageous for us to cook everything ourselves at home? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the less processed, the better. However, that's not realistic or sustainable. We all have lives. We have families, we have jobs, we have friends, other obligations. So that's not going to be sustainable or realistic for the average person, I would say. Um, do we want to cook food? Is it recommended to cook food as much as we can at home? Yes, but it's because we can control the ingredients. So we can limit the salt, we can limit the sugar, we can limit the unhealthy fat. However, we can't always cook at home. And it's okay to consume processed foods, ideally in moderation, not every day, but ideally in moderation. That's okay. That's okay. It's what we're doing on a consistent basis is what will impact our health, what we're doing consistently. So we want to choose habits, and we want to do habits and do whatever's going to be sustainable and realistic for us. That's what we're going to do consistently. That's ideally what we want.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's exactly it. So when you see an influencer telling you that you need to make this amazing marinara sauce from scratch, what you don't see is it may take an hour, 2 hours, or whatever it may take to make whatever they're advertising. And if that's not going to fit into your lifestyle, you need to find a healthy alternative as opposed to just giving up on it, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Time is definitely a huge constraint as well. So we don't have time after work. If it's already, let's say, 6 o'clock after work, we're not going to have 1 to 2 hours just to cook a marinara sauce. That's
Yep.
not. We have things to do. So maybe we can look for a jarred marinara sauce. We can look at the nutrition label. Is it a lower sodium sauce? Is it lower in sugar? Because there are options out there that could be good
Yeah.
options for us to use. And then all we would have to do is, let's say we're doing spaghetti and meatballs, just cook the spaghetti and cook meatballs or whatever. And that would cut the time
Yeah.
significantly. So
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and I didn't give you this question ahead of time, but what is a meal that you talked about? We talked about having meals earlier. What is a good balance? Because when I grew up, they had this food pyramid with everything on it, and I don't even know if that's still taught in schools. I heard it's not, but I mean, so what is a healthy meal just in general? Protein, et cetera.
yeah, yeah. So to touch on the food pyramid, I also learned about the food pyramid, but it is not, they haven't used that in a little bit. Now they use something called My Plate. And it's actually, I think it's a lot better. It's a better representation because you can really implement it in your everyday. I think the food pyramid was a little bit harder to actually implement. It was a nice visual, but it kind of hard to actually follow through with. Anyway, so now they use My Plate, and they encourage lots of fruits and vegetables. So they want about half of your plate to be a low carbohydrate vegetable, or also called non-starchy vegetable. So that could be something like spinach or broccoli or carrots, mushrooms. There's a bunch out there.
Yeah.
But they want half your plate or majority of your plate to be that low carbohydrate vegetable. Why? Because it's super high in fiber, vitamins and minerals, low calorie to help with weight management. Then they want about a quarter of your plate to be some type of lean protein. This might be something like baked or roasted chicken, maybe turkey, 90% lean ground beef, pork tenderloins, fairly lean. Fish. Oh, fish is a great one for the omega-3s and vitamin D. They do recommend fish about twice a week if you
Mhm.
could do more.
Yeah.
So fish, shellfish are great. Even eggs and plant-based protein sources like beans, lentils, peas. And the last piece of that plate is some type of a healthy carbohydrate, because we do need carbohydrates for energy, and to sustain us throughout our day. So we do need carbohydrates, just in an adequate portion size. So the last quarter of the plate, they want to be a healthy carbohydrate. What could that be? Something such as fruit, could be milk or yogurt because they have some carbohydrates in there. Could be a starchy vegetable, potatoes, peas, corn, for example, or some type of a grain, ideally a whole grain for more fiber. So maybe brown rice, wheat pasta, whole grain bread.
Yeah, and what about, you mentioned yogurt there? What about, I know that they sell yogurt that has a ton of sugar in it, but if you just get the kind of the whole yogurt, off that dinner plate, but on to breakfast, because I worked out this morning and I was really hungry, so I just had some yogurt and I threw a scoop of protein powder in it. Is that still good? Is that, am I getting protein in a healthy way there, or should it be in the form of meat?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent source of protein. Did you have a plain or regular yogurt or Greek yogurt or?
It was Greek yogurt.
Okay, awesome. So,
Yeah.
I mean, either yogurt is great. The reason I was asking about Greek yogurt is it is higher in protein, for the same amount. So I would encourage Greek yogurt, so just to get more protein.
Yep.
But if you prefer regular yogurt over Greek yogurt, some people have that preference. That's totally fine as well. But you will get more protein with Greek yogurt.
Got it.
And you boosted the protein with the protein powder.
Yeah.
So that's great. Those are great sources of protein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for me, it adds a little flavor to it. It's vanilla flavored protein powder, right? So,
Nice.
well, now The problem with a lot of, at least I'll put it in my perspective, is when I eat poorly or more poorly, I would say it's because I don't plan ahead. Is that a lot of it? Do you see that a lot in people's kind of habits?
Yes, yes. If we don't meal plan, then we kind of last minute are thinking to ourselves, what am I going to eat? A lot of the times we have to go out and get food, like fast food.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, if we don't plan, then we're not going to have anything at home. Typically, some people might, but typically we won't. And then we'll eat whatever's in the fridge. It might not be the healthiest. Maybe it's I have frozen pizza. That's what I'm going to go to. I don't have any vegetables, so I'm not going to eat veggies, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. And there's a big conversation now. Well, it's been on for forever, probably, as food is medicine, right? So, a better diet could translate into less other pharmaceuticals going into your body as you age and things like that. Do you have any guidance or feelings on that?
Yeah, actually at Food Smart, we are a food is medicine company and we do try to promote that because I do believe in that. Whatever we eat, we're going to break down, our body's going to use. So if we're eating nutrient dense foods, it's going to help to sustain us throughout the day, improve our cognition, um, just give us our body the vitamins and minerals it needs to
Yeah,
function and function optimally. You can function, but it might not be optimal.
yeah.
Um, so yes, I do believe food as medicine is a great approach.
Yep. So let me ask you this on that front. One of the challenges that we have in America, probably globally, but it's certainly in America, we have this immediate gratification need, right? So, and nutrition is not something. If you eat well today, everything changes tomorrow, right? It's one of those things that it's about consistency. I think you've mentioned that to me before. So, how would you advise somebody just to stay on the stay on the plan because it's going to pay off, right? I mean, how do you do that when you're coaching your individuals?
Yeah, that is an excellent point. Because if we don't see change or improvement in a day, nowadays it's like, okay, I'm done.
I ate good
Um,
yesterday. I'm done.
yeah, yeah. So 100%, I see that all the time.
Yeah,
Um, I think what we need to think about is focusing on small goals, choosing a very specific area you want to work on. So maybe you're thinking to yourself, my vegetable intake could be better. So,
mhm.
okay, great. So you're going to work on maybe increasing your vegetable intake. You narrowed it down from I'm going to eat healthier, this huge broad wide goal, to let's start focusing on increasing veggie intake. And maybe
Yeah,
that's not what you want to work on, but just choosing an area. Maybe you want to focus on more protein, focus on more whole grains, whatever you want. But focus on one area. Let's make the goal small and specific so we know exactly what we have to do. And it can hold us accountable as well if we specifically say exactly what we're going to do.
yeah,
And this is something we do teach as well as dietitians, is creating SMART goals. They're specific goals that are measurable.
yeah, yeah,
We can monitor our progress. Um, so even further, okay, I'm going to increase my intake of vegetables. How am I going to do that? Okay, I enjoy baby carrots and ranch. Great. So for the next week, I'm going to have baby carrots and ranch as a side at my lunch, or maybe you want to choose a PM snack, whenever. Um,
yep,
3 days in the next week. So you can directly measure that. Did I do that?
yep,
Yes or no. It's not, there's no wiggle room. We don't
yeah.
want that wiggle room, or else we're probably not going to do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think you just described what about what habits that stick is you're just trying to get 1% better along the way, and just sticking to it will get you where you want to go. And before long, it becomes a habit where you're not thinking about doing it; you just do it. And I wonder if people come on with you and say, "Yes, I'm going to eat those carrots 3 times a week," and then they forget to, so the day before they eat 3 servings of carrots the day before, so they can check the box.
My patients, yeah, sometimes they don't follow through with the goals, and life is busy, I understand, but I think another aspect too that I wanted to throw in there is remembering your reason for motivation and why you're working on that goal. Continuing to tell yourself, I'm increasing my vegetable intake to whatever benefit sounds the best to you, really. Like,
Yep.
I'm increasing my vegetable intake because I know if I eat more vegetables, I'm going to maybe improve my eyesight. I
Yep.
don't know. Or maybe I'm increasing my vegetable intake because I know it can help with weight management. I'm overweight or obese. That can increase my risk for early death, and I want to live longer with my family.
Yep.
And my grandkids, I hear that a lot. Like, I want to be able to have more energy to play with
Yep.
my grandkids. Maybe that's going to help with weight loss. Maybe
Yeah.
weight loss is going to help with being
Yeah.
able to play with your grandkids more, have more energy. So thinking
Yep.
about what really matters to you and how it's going to benefit you to eat, for example, those baby carrots, um, how it's going to benefit you and what's your motivation for doing it. We're not going to do things that don't benefit us. So we have to
Right.
think about what those benefits will be, and really also believing in the fact that I will see these benefits if I
Right.
continue working on these habits, these benefits will come.
Yes, yes, I agree with you there. I think it is it is a long game sometimes, and it feels like it's longer than it should be. But
Yeah.
it's how you. I mean, really, if you want to have a play with your grandkids kind of retirement, from 65 to 75 to 80, then it kind of has to start today, because you can't get to 65 and then start. I mean, you can, but you might as well have a running start at it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the earlier you start changing your eating habits for the better,
right.
the more likely you'll stick with it, and then it'll be more of a breeze when you get older because you already started that habit.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. So, tell me a little bit more about Food Smart, just so our audience knows, and if it's a service that they may be interested in, or may help somebody they know.
Yeah, absolutely. So FoodSmart we're a virtual nutrition counseling company. And we're partnered with various health insurance companies throughout America and different states. So to see if you're eligible, if your health insurance covers visits, I would go to foodsmart.com and you could check eligibility there. Uh, we mostly do work with Medicaid health insurance. However, that's not always the case. I have seen patients in my home state of New Jersey, like Cigna insurance. So it's not always, but
Yeah,
yeah, if you want nutrition counseling, you're looking to improve your health with diet and lifestyle changes, we can absolutely help you out, and we love doing it. So
yeah. And what's the frequency? If somebody is signed up for your service, are they meeting weekly? Are they monthly? What kind of cadence is this?
yeah, that's a great question. It's really patient dependent.
Okay.
I would say typically for a newer patient, I do like to do weekly to start, maybe weekly for a month, and then spreading it out to maybe 2 times a month, and then once we start seeing positive changes and whatnot, and the patient feels like they have a good idea, good grip on what they got to do and continue to do, then spread it out more. But yeah, usually once a week to start. But if you've had nutrition education before and you're like, I just kind of want to get on track, and I just want someone kind of monitoring me, motivating me, then maybe starting out a little bit more spread out.
That's great. That's good to know. And if you anything I didn't ask you, or anything you want to add to the conversation that maybe we should have covered?
Anything else I want to add in there? I would say just start small. Start small. Um, Give yourself grace as well. A lot of
Yes.
times people may start changing their eating habits, lifestyle, even exercising more, which is awesome. And then maybe we have a bad week. And bad, I don't mean to say bad week. Maybe we have a week that we're not exercising as much as we wanted.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Just keep going. Just keep continuing with what your plan is. It's okay. Everybody has setbacks, and that's fine. Just keep going. It's again about consistency.
Yeah.
It's not about what happened one week. It's about what did I do in the last 3 to 6 months to the last year. That's
Yeah.
what's going to make the changes.
That is fantastic advice, Marissa, because Time Bandit has a habit tracker in there, and people love the streaks, right? And when you get a streak going, it's fun to keep it going. But just because you missed a day on that streak doesn't mean you stop. I mean, just get back on it tomorrow, because that start a new streak, or it just. I think there is something about just don't beat yourself up when you said that. That is the biggest thing that stops people from achieving where they want to go with habits in particular, is because they just get frustrated and stop. And if they just kind of take a pause, breathe, and then start again, they're gonna feel better for it, and that resiliency builds up, right? And then it's just gonna become, like I said, part of your lifestyle. So that's great advice. Thank you for doing that. It fits in well with everything I try to teach people. So very good. So the final question: if someone is listening and wants to make a shift, not a new diet but a new habit, where should they start?
Ooh, a new habit. I would say again, I pick an area you want to focus on. I wouldn't focus on a million things at once because it's going to be overwhelming. We're most likely not going to follow through with that. Pick an area you want to focus on. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
What do you want to focus on? Drinking more water, exercising more, eating healthier? What do you want to do? So choose
Pick one.
that. Pick one. Pick one. That's the first thing. And think of your motivation, why you want to do it, how it's going to benefit you, and make a smart goal. Make a really small goal that's specific and work on it.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for the insights. And I took away, look at the sodium number on everything that we're doing. Plan ahead, I think, is a good piece of advice. And just make small changes until you get where you want to go. I mean, it doesn't have to be a major overhaul where you can't achieve it, right? Just keep at it, keep consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining. Everybody, I just encourage what Marissa said. Just pick one thing, one small thing, and give it a try, and just give it a go. Try it for 5 days, and then on the 6th day and the 7th day, it may just kick in. I do have a training bundle that you can go to. It has three modules in it that you can learn about habit formation, tying habits to your values, and also priority management. So for those bad days that set you off track, how to get back on track. And you get 1 year of the mobile app, you get my book, and you get a lot of worksheets and access to our habit coach, which is something that can really help you with a diet. It's an AI-based thing where you can say, is this good for me? Or I want to take in more protein. How can I do that? And this coach will help you along the way. So, but if you're looking for nutrition advice, please look up Food Smart, and Marissa is on LinkedIn. You can find her there. So thank you so much, Marissa. And thank you everybody for attending. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.